We have a special guest tonight, a person returning from having just graduated. Filippo was our president for Toastmasters in the previous semester, and he's come back to speak on a subject that's a little closer to his heart in terms of charity, because he was really the one who initiated these activities that we still hold today, and kind of the reason why we acclimated to where we are sitting here today. So, Filippo, please.
Well, thank you, AZ, and thank you, my favorite club of all, Toastmasters, aka the Leadership Communication Club. And I'm so proud to see the amount of leadership that went into organizing this event and to the theme behind it, to choosing a theme and making it work. Isn't charity the heart of our school? Who says yes?
Yes.
And considering the number of ambassadors, USAID workers, nonprofit CEOs, and everyone else, I think that's a deserved reputation that Thunderbird has. And we at Toastmasters, the Leadership Communication Club, are continuing that tradition. So today, my speech is called The Power of Everyday Choice. And another thing I'm so surprisingly shocked by is how all of the speakers are going to tie together so nicely. Because we're talking about food and sustainability, but we're also talking about what we can do. And there's not just a triple bottom line, there's a world and the power of every moment. Let's make it a quadruple bottom line. When I started looking at business schools, there was a double bottom line. And then when I joined business school, there was a triple bottom line. And I think it's time for the quadruple bottom line, where we notice the power of every day. So that's what my speech is about, how to put these things into practice and make every day our moment to vote. Everyone voted in the election, but in the supermarket there's a million elections going on, and you have to make it. You have to choose it. There's no Republicans, no Democrats, there's just wisdom. So, some of the themes that come up when we talk about sustainability and food are themes like that I'm not going to really touch much on. The industrial impact, the way it's not just when we produce a food, there's a certain cost associated with it that we haven't analyzed. We don't know how much how much it will take to get pure water back. Does anyone taste the tap water here at Thunderbird? Okay, well that's an example of water contamination. And that cost is not associated with food. We don't pay for it. We just buy the food and we don't understand it. Another idea that Jennifer mentioned, well, that was mentioned, is processing. So she taught us Twinkies are garbage, and I'm going to give you a little of my own history. I'm gluten-free, vegetarian, and the first book I read, well, one of the first books I read after like the Hardy Boys and all that, when I was 8, was called Diet for a Small Planet by Frances Moore Lappé. Anyone read it? Okay, so I'm not the only hardcore, one out there, but it's all about building a planet with your food. When we eat, we make choices, and processing is a choice. If you choose to process foods, you're actually sustaining the kind of thought process, the unsustainable thought process that goes behind the creation of foods like Twinkies. And when you realize we're educating ourselves, and the past charity events actually were about education, so that also ties in so well. But we're educating ourselves about these choices, how to choose something that reflects our values. And when we go to the supermarket, we can do it. Another idea that comes up when it comes to food sustainability is policy and economics. And this is a big issue, and I think this is responsible for at least 160 billion of waste that may not have been included in the figure that was presented before, the 165 million of food waste. There is a policy of destruction of crops in the US and production of crops for large industrial organizations. We understand this, and I have some films that I'll mention at the end. I have some commercials in between, some fun commercials. Anyone taking marketing communications? The fun of commercials? Okay, so you'll see. I have some nice examples. I took the class. I have a rack. So those are some of the topics that come up with food and sustainability, some of the things that we can look at when we do make our choices. Other things that we look at when we make our choices are related to genetic modification. And there's a lot of discourse about that, Vermont and California. We're trying to do the simplest of things, which is allow people, consumers, to know what's in their food. And it's not simple. There's a lot of political lobbying that makes it impossible for us to really know what is genetically modified and what isn't if it's not labeled specifically. So what is the future? How is the future of healthy food and how can we protect it? Well, the FDA doesn't give us any information. The food is on our shelves, but it hasn't been deemed either safe or unsafe. It's just there. So you won't be able to know unless you choose specifically organic whether your food is genetically modified or not, and whether you will be subject to the problems related to genetically modified food. There's a lot of people that say that celiacs, and everyone is probably aware of the rising number of celiacs in the world, is often, that may be largely due to genetic modification. One more thing to think about. Then we have what I'm going to call the difference between sustainable farming and greedy farming. So greedy farming, I think we've touched upon it quite a bit, is when we don't look at the full cost of our food, but we require either expensive herbicides, a certain type of seed that doesn't reflect local growth, that doesn't reflect nutritional value. I help my friends in the supermarket to choose nutritional value when they see something on the shelf, and not price. Because when you really look at a product, you'll get 32 grams of protein from an organic Greek yogurt, and you'll maybe get 6 from a processed yogurt made of, we don't know. Simple things like that. The price difference is maybe $1, but the nutritional difference is maybe, well, 6 and 32, that's almost 6 times as much, 5.33. So there's another big difference. When we look at the difference between greedy and sustainable production of food and greedy and sustainable farming. Another point in that topic is they say that these genetically modified crops have advantages. They resist better, they perform better, they grow better, but if they're not delivering the nutrition, if they're actually disrupting the local economy with a seed and a pesticide cost that wasn't there, and contamination of a water table, is it really sustainable? Is there any cost benefit? Is there any benefit at all? And these are the choices that we make when we go to the supermarket and buy our food. The commercial. So I've had a lot of interesting ideas to make choices, but the commercial, we were mentioning chocolates. So does anyone know what the cheapest? Well, does anyone watch Dr. Oz? Well, Dr. Oz is the most famous doctor in the world right now. He's got a show on at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. I haven't watched it in a while. Like, I used to know him in my hospital. And one of the things he says is that chocolate, as long as it's 70% and organic, is actually good for you. Otherwise, the sugar content will reduce the health benefits of the chocolate. So does anyone know where you can get the best organic 70% dark chocolate that tastes delicious? Oh, she knows, okay. So, well, the least expensive one that I found is in Whole Foods. Strangely, you know, we don't, and you think, oh, that would be Walmart, that would be Fry's. Instead, at Whole Foods. So if you're making choices, always look beyond the appearance of price. Look for the health benefits. And you may find unexpected surprises, like a $3.99 12-ounce bag of delicious 70% dark chocolate chips. And I'm sure you love them, because I've made the cookies, baked them in the microwave right here in the dorms, and I fed them to my colleagues and classmates, and they've loved them. That was the commercial. Another little commercial, another chocolate commercial, is for Madicas, and it's available on Amazon. It's a little more expensive than your average everyday chocolate bar, but the taste, they have red pepper chocolate, they have coquimbo, I don't know the names of the fruits that are in these chocolates, and it's usually about 70% or more of cacao. The difference of this Madicas chocolate is that it's produced in Madagascar. It's not ground in Europe, it's not refined in the US and repackaged in Mexico. It's all done in Madagascar, so you'll get a little piece of straw around your chocolate. Okay, 2 commercials. I guess we're back to the show. And the next part of how to make an educated choice when you're in the supermarket, the power of every day, is knowing that genetic modification isn't just damaging because it requires pesticides. It contaminates the seeds. And you may have seen news items about this, but when organic farmers, honest people, simple farmers from Uganda or Canada or India are next to a farm that uses genetic modified seeds, the cross-pollination transmits some of the genes to their own crops. So when they recycle their seeds, as is the case in almost all organic farming, some of these genetic modifications will appear. Monsanto companies have successfully sued these organic farmers. Well, everyone hates Monsanto, so I don't want to use their name. It's just companies, and there's so many of them that it really isn't fair to blame just one. But it contaminates the seed, and organic farmers have been successfully sued and thrown out of business. So the fact that you're choosing genetic modified products and not choosing the other one, because that's the difference, makes life unsustainable for these poor farmers in different countries. It's just a very important point that we need to focus on when we make our everyday choices in the supermarket. And I know everyone here goes to the Commons. I was cooking in my room. If you do have a rice cooker, who has a rice cooker? Okay, so there are people that are cooking in their rice cooker, and there's plenty of good foods to choose when you cook in your rice cooker. The last point that will help us, that I'm presenting today, there's a million points, and I'm going to give some resources, is related also to the pesticide use. There's a myth surrounding genetically modified products that they do reduce pesticide use. The opposite is true. From 1996 to 2009, we increased pesticide use by 318 million pounds. Now, 318 million pounds, that's probably a large lake in this country. So if you can imagine a whole large lake full of pesticide, that's what we've been pouring into the earth, thanks to the use of genetically modified foods. So if you want to choose sustainable foods, these 4 points help to make it a little clearer how to make an educated choice in your supermarket. So my conclusion is a little long, and it starts with a commercial. And the commercial is for education. We're here as graduate students, and only 4% of students in the US reach the stage that they complete graduate studies, which is a wonderful choice. Well, congratulations to us all. So I'm going to mix it with a different statistic. The 10 million children that die of hunger every year. And before their 5th birthday, countless more children will also die of hunger, something that today we're working to reduce. We're creating, by choosing these sustainable products in our supermarket, we not hungry by allowing them to live, by allowing them to use techniques that they can sustain and prosper with. And we're also donating. I'm so excited that we've raised the bar this year, and we'll continue with our Toastmasters, the Leadership Communication Club, charity dinners. There may be a hula hoop contest coming up for the same purpose, but I'm excited that we're able to make this impact. It's an everyday choice. You're choosing to come here. You're choosing to learn about sustainability and foods, and it's something we can bring with us every day. So our other charity events were to educate children in the Dominican Republic, and these children, one of them recently graduated high school and is looking forward to getting a full scholarship for a U.S. university, so we're all proud of that. We did a good job last time. And simple things like educating farmers. Education and food, I think they go hand in hand. And today we've learned that education and business, education and sustainability. The biggest conclusion is, after the commercial for the charity events that we've done, is that this is a new world. Like all of our speakers mentioned, this is a new world. A world where every neighbor is an us, every neighbor is a friend. And with the everyday choices that we make with our food, it's one more step right into this new world. You don't want to step out of it. Every day, we step into the new world where our neighbors are really our friends. Well, I'm so excited about the charity dinner. I want to congratulate Balaji, who was elected new president of Toastmasters, the Leadership Communication Club. And I don't know if anyone else is going to do some thank yous, so I'm thanking AZ as well for such a wonderful organization and for finding a donor for the food and for making this an event that I'm really happy to attend. And thanks to Tiffany, who was organizing so many things behind the scenes. And I'm sure there's so many other people to thank, and I'll let the night go back to our host, but I absolutely want to thank everyone because when you come to a charity event, you are taking a step into the new world. Thank you.